Salve amici at the Scipini, and welcome back to Mr. Lee's classroom, or, as it is now known, the Ides of Mars. Pardon my absence, for I have been dealing with some personal stuff that has consumed my attention, but suffice it to say, I am back and will be making more videos. In the development roadmap released for Total War Saga Troy, we see 3 pieces of unannounced DLC content packs. 2 of them, Artemis and Hephaestus, are likely additional gods that will be added to the game, but one of them, titled Ajax and Diomedes, imply at least 2 new legendary heroes, which I will be speculating about today. Interestingly, both of the names in the DLC pack could each be 2 heroes. Ajax could refer to Ajax the Greater or Ajax the Lesser, and Diomedes could be a Greek hero or a Thracian king. Let's start with the Ajaxes. Both Ajax the Greater and Lesser are present in-game as unplayable heroes with unique models. The fact that they both have unique skins may suggest that both will eventually become playable, but this seems like a pipe dream to be honest. Regardless, I will cover both of them in the interest of thoroughness. Ajax the Greater was a very famous leader among the Greeks and, in my opinion, the frontrunner for the DLC. He was the leader of Salamis and a very prolific fighter. He is said to rival Achilles in strength, and was a towering figure in his own right. In-game, I would imagine he would focus on brute strength and heavy club units. His playstyle is unique in that we basically know what it would focus on: defense. In the Iliad, he is portrayed as a bulwark of the Achaeans with a 7-layer shield made from cowhide. Uniquely, he only fights in the defense of the Greeks and has no significant moment of offensive combat. After Achilles' death at the hands of Paris, Ajax tries to claim Achilles' armor. Odysseus is eventually awarded the honor of inheriting the god-forged panoply, and Ajax is said to have committed suicide in anger. As for special mechanics, I imagine him to focus on defensive alliances and item acquisition. It is worth noting that he is coming along with the Hephaestus DLC, Hephaestus being the crafter of Achilles' legendary armor, so perhaps it would not be far-fetched to expect the 2 are related. I speculate some form of item crafting system. Ajax the Lesser is, as his name implies, less exciting. He is known as the fastest of the Greeks, and hailed from Locris. He doesn't do much in the Iliad, and is killed afterwards by Poseidon on his return trip. I can't really imagine any special mechanics, but he could have units focused on speed and flanking. He is also specifically mentioned as wearing a linen cuirass, so perhaps a unit sporting that armor could be fitting. In the sack of Troy, he raped the princess Cassandra near a statue of Athena, causing the goddess and Poseidon to punish the Achaean host on their return voyage. Regardless, I expect Ajax of Salamis to be the real choice for the DLC. The next 2 heroes are radically different. The first, Diomedes, was a Greek hero and lord of Argos. He is said to be the best spear fighter besides Achilles among the Achaean host. He has a lot of small stories surrounding him, but the most interesting involves the stealing of the Palladium, a statue of Athena that protected Troy from the citadel of the city. He was a champion of Athena, and spared her wrath after the rape of Cassandra by Ajax the Lesser. Very interestingly, he is said to have founded a number of cities on the Italian peninsula after the war. I don't think this will be reflected in game, but it is still worth mentioning. I expect him to wield a 2-handed spear and be among the fastest of the heroes. Mechanically, a system revolving around the stealing of various objects could be an interesting option, again fitting with the theme of the Hephaestus DLC. For special troops, imagine a focus on 2-handed spears. In-game he is present as a vassal to King Agamemnon, so perhaps a vassal mechanic could be interesting. The second Diomedes, Diomedes of Thrace, is also portrayed in-game as a Thracian king. He is the most interesting option, as his inclusion would imply a playable Thracian faction. The Thracians at this time were incredibly interesting, and in-game they are woefully lacking in unique traits or soldiers. A Thracian hero would greatly improve the game in my opinion. He is said to have owned a herd of man-eating horses that were stolen by Heracles and was in fact killed by them. This is actually portrayed in-game, as Diomedes' horses are a unique item gained from defeating him. One could imagine a mechanic centered around the breeding and selling of horses, as well as a roster involving fast horsemen and barbaric warriors who are lightly armed but fierce on the charge. As is custom, I will finish the video by a reading from Christopher Logue's interpretation of the Iliad, revolving around Ajax's defense of the Greek ships. The air near Ajax was so thick with arrows that, as they came, their shanks tickered against each other, and under them the Trojans swarmed so thick, Ajax need only outspread his arms, turned his spear flat, and simply push. Yet they came clamoring back, and so many Trojans had a go at him, that the iron chaps of Ajax's helmet slapped his cheeks to soft red pulp, and his helmet reached back and forth like a clapper inside a bell made out of sword blades. Maybe, even with no breath left, big Ajax might have stood it. Yet, big and all as he was, Prince Hector meant to burn that ship, and God was pleased to let him.